Time to do some reading. Friday night supper, not a Friday night stripper. Okay, battuta mia. We live in a decade that worships speed. Unfortunately, true today as it was 25 or 30 or 40 years ago. Fast food, 1 minute managers, 60-minute gourmet, 3 minute miles. We lace up our racing shoes, running shoes, and dash off to get on the fast track. Lace up vuol dire allacciare i lacci. These days we are surrounded by an overabundance, but admire the minimal. Cuisine minceur, high-tech design, thinness. We are far too busy to linger over a long, languid meal. Instead, we bolt a pint of yogurt and suit up for a 5 mile run or a corporate takeover. Food is now glamorous. Glossy magazines display tiny specks of underdone duck breast lying on oversized plates with the same reverence once lavished on models wearing Balenciaga dresses. This is the age of high fashion food. Half a braised quail, a thimble of polenta. What's a thimble? Fortunately, this doesn't happen in Italy. A thimble of polenta is not what you get at the Sagra of Sant'Anna. A thimble, eccolo qua. Quindi poco poco poco. And a sprig of cilantro is supposed to make you feel not satisfied, but superior. A quick meal is a sleek white restaurant in which the portions are hummingbird size and the noise is deafening, leaving plenty of time for a good 45 minutes of the exercise bicycle whilst reading the Wall Street Journal. Hummingbird and Martin Pescatore forse? Hummingbird. Eccolo qua. I have no idea how to call it in Italian, but it's that little thing there. But when all is said and done, man cannot live on charred monkfish and grilled baby vegetables alone. Every now and again, even the fastest of the fast trackers must rest. The old days were slower. People buttered their bread without guilt and sat down to dinner en famille. After a hard week of work, people welcomed the Sabbath and ushered it in with a big meal that took a long time to eat and longer to digest. For those who have let it lapse, Friday night supper is a tradition worth reviving. It is a night when the heart of even the most assimilated Jew cries out for something more substantial than one skinless chicken breast. The traditional Friday night fare sta per cibo cucinato, pot roast and potato pancakes, oh my god, so good, is not something you would want to make a steady diet of, nor would you be comfortable serving it to your cardiologist. But it is truly heartwarming. Many people, of course, have less than pleasant memories of Friday night dinners during which they were offered plates of weathered roof shingles, accompanied by fry shoe heels. Allora, qua sta prendendo in giro. Roof shingles sono... it's better. An image is worth than a million words, especially if my translation is not good. Quindi cose bruciate. Eccole qua, cose bruciate. Quindi tante volte si friggeva tutto ed ecco il risultato. I myself had such a dinner at a home of a college friend in 1962, and I often wonder how her mother got her pot roast to that dire, triste combination of overcooked and rubbery at the same time. I am still digesting that meal. Oh no. The trick is to make really good pot roast and potato pancakes. The pot roast must be tender enough to mash with a fork, but should not, on the other hand, have the texture of a shredded rope. The gravy must be thick and savory, without a speck of flour. Gravy, the American meal. As for the potato pancakes, di nuovo ripeto, oh my god, so good. They should have the texture of Florentine cookies, lacy and crisp. They ought, as a beau of mine once said, Morosetto, to go straight from the plate to your bloodstream. Fantastico. A side dish of applesauce is traditional and is a snap to make, and it actually cooks itself. Applesauce. And now into the kitchen. The crucial issue with pot roast is what cut to use. Cut of meat, of course. My mother favors front cut brisket, But she grew up when one could buy prime meat and fancy cuts without dipping into capital. By the time I got around to serious cooking, a substantial meat purchase seemed as daunting as buying an ermine stove. Therefore, I settled on the cheaper chuck steak, cut thick è un tipo di carne, chuck. And I stand by it. It is fattier than brisket and therefore more lip smacking. Mmm, 5 pounds will do for 4 people, with a little left over. If you are feeding ravenous beasts, or contemplate a weekend of cold pot roast sandwiches on rye, rye, un tipo di pane, order more. The following pot roast is a variation of the traditional, but it is every bit as good. Take the 5 pound chuck steak, tie a string around its middle, and roll it on all sides in paprika. Heat some dark fruity olive oil in a skillet and sear, quindi questo vuol dire bruciare un po' la superficie, non bruciarla ma scaldarla, on both sides. Transfer it to a Dutch oven slightly larger than the meat. A Dutch oven. Ugh. Let's see what the images give us. This one here, casserole of a sort, made of cast iron, of course. They call it a Dutch oven. Slightly bigger than the meat. Cut 3 ripe red peppers into strips and saute them in the skillet. Add them to the meat along with 2 medium yellow onions in quarters, 1 large carrot sliced into chunks, and if you love hot food, 1 fresh hot pepper. Since there is never enough garlic, I use 6 big cloves, but this can be added to taste. Adjusted to taste. Into the skillet, pour 1 glass of red wine and a small canned tomato sauce and cook down to thicken a bit. Pour over the meat, grind on some black pepper and cover. Cook in a slow oven, 300 degrees, until tender. That will take somewhere between 3 and 5 hours, so relax. When the meat is done, remove the veggies with a slotted spoon and push them through a sieve or run them through a food mill. You grind them. Mill. There you go. There you go. A sieve or a food mill. A blender will not do. The idea is to create a puree free of fibers, onion and pepper skins, and the twiggy bits of the hot pepper. Put the puree in a saucepan, add the meat juice, and cook over a moderate flame until you have thick gravy. Ecco cos'è gravy, è il grasso cucinato. Slice the pot roast in the last minute and spoon the gravy all over it, saving some for the gravy boat. A gravy boat is a thing because you use a little bit extra, you put it on the table in a gravy boat. So people can just happily add more because you cannot have enough gravy, of course. Everybody's going to die. Might as well die happy. Slosh the pot roast the last minute, spoon it the gravy, save some for the gravy boat. Some people eat this in total silence, in which case you may assume that you are not going to have any leftovers. Good sentence, good concept. Now on to the potato pancakes with a digression about vegetables. Real potato pancakes must be fried in chicken fat, but if you clutch your breast at the thought of that, saturation, a combination of chicken fat and vegetable oil works perfectly. You can also kid yourself, prenderti in giro, that while the chicken fat is coating your arteries, the polyunsaturates in the vegetable oil are cleaning them out. Sure, some supermarkets have chicken fat in the dairy case, but it's usually filled with preservatives. It is cheaper to make it at home as follows. Take the fat from 1 large chicken, dice it up, tagliare a cubetti, and put it in a cold skillet. Gently warm the skillet on a low fire. Meanwhile, dice 1 small yellow onion. As soon as the fat begins to let down, turn the fire up slightly and add the onions. Turning the flame up again, you want a medium flame, cook until the onions are brown, not burnt, and the fat has completely been rendered and the cracklings are crisp. What you have now, in addition to onion-flavored chicken fat, are called gribien, German for crackling. Io l'ho pronunciata alla francese, vabbè. These must be terrible for you because they are so extremely delicious. Remove them with a slotted spoon from the fat, and if you can restrain yourself from eating them, all you as stand there in the kitchen use them to flavor the Brussels sprouts. Trim the Brussels sprouts. 2 1-pint boxes will feed 4 amply, and steam for 10 minutes. Some people put a crosshatch on the bottom, but I consider this a frill, like skinning tomatoes. The idea here is to blanch, not cook. Put the sprouts in an earthenware pan, cover with a gridiron, whatever you pronounce that, and shake until each sprout has had intimate contact with cracklings. Add salt and pepper to taste and bake for 2 hours, shaking the pan from time to time. You can put them on the rack under the pot roast. You want sprouts that are golden brown on the outside and mushy on the inside. Even Brussels sprouts haters have been known to love these. It is silly to pretend that potato pancakes are dietetic and that they are good for you. If you are going to enjoy them, approach them as a rare delicacy. Throw caution to the wind and have a good time. The following is my mother's recipe, a classic. Estelle Cohen Snellenberg's potato pancakes. Put 1/4 cup of chicken fat and 1/2 cup vegetable oil in a frying pan on a low flame. Peel 5 medium Idaho, no other kind will do, potatoes in cold and hot water. Where the hell am I going to find an Idaho potato? Peel 1 medium yellow onion. Quarter the onion and the potatoes. Feed the potatoes into a blender a few at a time, adding the onion, 1 egg, 1 tablespoon of flour or matzo meal. What the heck is matzo meal? It's some sort of a Jewish type of, I guess, um, traditional Jewish bread known as matzo. Matzo bread is made by mixing flour. That's really interesting. I did not know about this. Let's see if there's any type of equivalent in Italy. Oh, there is. Matzah. Oh, all right, we shall look. Feed the potatoes with the blender, flour or matzo meal, and 1/4 teaspoon of baking powder dissolved in a teaspoon of cold water. Blend to a batter e la pastella. When the fat is hot enough to fry a piece of bread, start frying. Some of the big pancakes, some like the small. I like a spoon of batter. Work fast as potato batter has a dismaying tendency to start changing color from pink to green to black. Fry the pancakes until golden on both sides. Drain on paper towels and keep on a hot platter in a hot oven. It is best to make them at last minute, keeping them in the oven for the shortest time possible. They are, of course, best eaten directly from the skillet without any thought of sharing them with others, of course. Applesauce is traditional, and while there are many brands available in the supermarket, homemade is so simple to make that it almost does not require a recipe. But for those who have never attempted it, here are the steps. Peel and core, quindi togli la parte centrale, any number of apples. Make as much as you like. A variety of apples, McIntosh, Granny Smith, Empire, and so on, makes a very nice sauce. If you're using organic apples, don't bother to peel them and the result will be a lovely apple pink. Put the apples in a heavy pot over a low flame and add 1/2 cup of apple cider. Cover and cook slowly, stirring once in a while. The whole process takes under an hour. If you like lumpy, quindi pieno di pezzettoni, applesauce, mash the apples with a fork. If smooth, run them through a food mill or push them through a sieve. Either way, it's delicious. After such a meal, carne, mele, e patate fritte, a green salad is a must. I like to add a few bitter greens such as chicory or endive for balance, with a very simple olive oil and vinegar dressing. As for dessert, there is only one dessert to have. I wonder which one. Orange ambrosia is often called the bride's dessert because it's so easy, nothing more than a sliced oranges prettily arranged with a little garnish. Bride because the bride, la sposa non sa cucinare. It is of southern origin, southern United States, and now out of fashion, but I love it. And after all that red meat and chicken fat, oranges are just the thing. Peel 6 navel oranges. Get off as much of the white skin as you can and slice into very thin rounds. Arrange prettily on a glass plate. A glass plate is traditional. Sprinkle with bourbon or Cointreau or tangerine brandy and let sit in the refrigerator. The idea is to get the oranges really cold. Wow. Half an hour before serving, sprinkle a little shredded coconut. The traditional garnish for this is a maraschino cherry, but for those who fear red food dye, A slice of kiwi fruit, a Bing cherry, or flower looks just as nice. I've seen orange ambrosia decorated with violets, which is very attractive if you happen to have a supply of violets on hand. This meal, tutto quanto insieme, which takes some time to prepare, must be eaten slowly. Afterwards, it's best to stretch out on the sofa, balancing a cup of coffee on your stomach. For the next month, you may vow, promettere, to eat nothing but brown rice and broiled fish. But on a cold Friday night, with the candles lit and white cloth on the table, it's good to celebrate your good fortune in living comfortably and to remember those who do not. In short, it is a time to count blessings, to savor life without rush, and to end the work week happy, drowsy, un po' addormentato, and content. What a beautiful little sequence and a celebration of life. Take care, my friends.